going to be talking about chocolate. A fantastic topic. Why can we not talk about chocolate every day? We should. A great use of chocolate, and I think it will fit very well into our segment here, is going to be mole sauce. So we're going to make a very classic mole sauce, which is very smart in the sense that if we look back to where chocolate started with the Mayans, it fits very well with this idea of using chocolate, using real Mexican chocolate and making a nice mole sauce, a spicy, sweet, rich sauce that we can use. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show through all of our ingredients. I'm going to show you how to make the mole sauce and then a use for it, and we'll make some chicken enchiladas with our mole sauce. So we're going to go through all of our ingredients, and what we've got are dried peppers. Our dried peppers, we're going to use ancho and guajillo, and what we've got are just nice dried chili peppers. So we have some tomatoes and onion and garlic. And then we go and we start to put together our mole sauce. We have sesame seeds, we have a Mexican oregano, black ground pepper, clove, ground clove, cinnamon, raisin. And then we just have some blanched almonds also. When we start to cook this all together, we'll add a little bit of dried breadcrumbs, a really nice rich chicken broth, and then chocolate. What's unique about Mexican chocolate is it's stone ground, so it's not as smooth. It gives it a nice unique texture, and it's a little bit of that sweetness is going to go really well with that hot spice that we'll get from our peppers and the heat from this dish. So that offsets that nice spicy kind of kick that you're going to get by adding that chocolate to kind of lighten it down, smooth it out, and give it a lot of richness to the flavor. So what we'll do is we're going to show you how to kind of put all of this together and make it into a nice mole sauce. So with your dried peppers, what you want to do is you want to take that stem off and you want to get in there and get all the seeds out. So easy enough to take a nice pair of scissors and just trim the top off. And what we want to do is we're going to toast these. So I'm actually going to come down the side and actually open it up a little bit. And then you can get those seeds out nice and easy. You see all those seeds in that membrane in there, just popped right out. So what we want to do is we want to just lightly toast these. And it's really just to kind of open the flavor back up, get that aroma and get that flavor kind of back into the pepper after it's been dried for so long. And so what we have here is we have just a nice dry saute pan. There's no oil, there's no fat in it, and it's just a nice dry clean saute pan. So I've got my heat on kind of a medium low. Make sure it's nice and hot. And you just want to take those nice dried peppers and you want to just lay them out and kind of give them a nice little toast. 15, 20 seconds is all you really need, and you'll smell it. You can kind of start to smell that aroma and that nice toastiness that's going to come out of those peppers. And for this recipe, it's going to need about a half a pound of these, so I'm just showing you a couple just to kind of give you that idea of how to do it, what it looks like. But you'll have to go through and do all of these peppers and give them just a light toast. And I can smell that pepper, the nice aroma, nice flavor. It just kind of opens up when we get into that. So then what I'm going to do is rehydrate my dried peppers. That's what I have here. I take all of my peppers. I've got my anchos. I've got my guajillo. I just put them in just regular cold tap water to cover them. And then I just put something like a bowl or something heavy over the top just to kind of weigh them down so they don't float off when we're trying to soak them. So got those. I'm going to let those soak for about 30 minutes and just let them off to the side for right now. With our vegetables, our tomato, our onion, and our garlic, we want to give it a nice roast again, just like what we did when we toasted the peppers. By giving these vegetables a good roast again, we're going to get that aroma and that flavor and a little bit more sweetness out of those. We got to offset a little bit of that heat from the peppers and the heat that comes off the spices. And so by roasting these peppers or these tomatoes and onions and the garlic, again, it's going to open up that flavor, sweeten them up a little bit, and kind of offset the heat from the peppers. So tomatoes, I just took them, I washed them, and I would just trim the stem off of them. My onion, I just took my onion, I just cut them into big chunks. All we need to do with these is we just need to have enough surface area so they would get some char and we get some color on them when we roast them. And then with the garlic, easy enough. We just need to leave the papery skin on the outside of the clove. What we got to do is just take that head of garlic and give it a little bit of a pop. And each of the individual cloves are going to open up for us. So all these cloves will come out. And so what we want to do is just leave that papery skin on there, and it kind of helps protect the garlic itself from burning. We want it to char on the outside, roast that garlic on the inside, but not completely blacken and basically make that really bitter. So we want to leave that skin on there. Set this out of our way. So what we've got is we're just going to put this in underneath a broiler, that high heat broiler that you have in your oven. If you want to use a grill, you can use a grill. If you just have a saute pan, you can also use a saute pan. Just leave them on there until they char really nice, and then just flip them onto the other side. So I've just got them on a sheet tray. I'm going to stick them in the oven under my broiler. In the magic of television, we have some done already. Kind of see what we're looking for. And again, that char on the outside is going to give it a little bit of that smokiness. It's going to bring out the extra sweetness that we can get out of the tomato and the onion and the garlic. And this softens them up a little bit and make it easier when we go to puree and cook everything. So what we'd want to do at this point is let these set and just cool lightly so that we can then handle them. And we're going to take the skin off of the tomato, peel that papery skin off of the garlic, and then we're going to puree it and make a little tomato sauce out of it. While that's cooling down, we're going to take our soaked chilies, and we're going to puree them out and make a little sauce out of these also. So I've got my anchos and my guajillo. These have been soaking for a good 30 minutes. So they're nice and soft. They have this nice texture. It'll be a lot easier to puree. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that and put that inside of a blender. Try to get out a little bit of that moisture if we can. Set that in our blender here. And don't discard this liquid. We want to keep this liquid. It has a lot of flavor. It's got a lot of that spice from the peppers. So we can use this to help thin out our puree and give it a little bit more of a texture that we want. Not too thick, not too thin. Make sure I got all my peppers out of there. Okay. So with that, to puree our peppers, what we want to do is add our spices and our herbs. So again, we have our oregano. That's just not nice Mexican oregano. It's going to have a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of that herbal flavor. Regular ground black pepper. That black pepper is going to give it, again, a little spice, nice flavor. Clove. Clove is a very strong spice. You don't need a lot of it. It seems like a very small amount. It's about 1/8 of a teaspoon. And that's all you really need. Too much more clove, it's very overpowering, and it's just going to taste overly spiced. So we don't want to go too much with our clove. Cinnamon. The cinnamon goes very well with chocolate and also with peppers. It's going to offset that heat again, and then it accentuates that flavor of chocolate. So cinnamon and chocolate are real indicative of Mexican cuisine from the Central Americas and even South America. So it's a nice addition. We just got some good dried raisins. Again, another traditional flavor in mole, and it gives it that rich, deep color and another flavor profile. And then that nut taste that we'll get from our blanched almonds. Again, just a little bit of flavor for the nut. Not going to overpower that, but it's going to give it just enough taste to kind of accentuate the flavor. So in here, we're going to use that liquid just to kind of help thin this out as it purees. So when you add that, you want just enough to kind of come to the top of the peppers there. So just barely up to the top of the peppers. And what we'll do is we'll set that on our blender. Put our lid on. Always put the lid on. Last thing you need is a mess everywhere all over your kitchen if you puree the lid off of it. Start on low. See what we're looking at. It's got this nice paste-like consistency, but it's nice and thin so that we can still use it as a sauce. I can smell all those flavors of the cinnamon and the clove and the peppers. Very bright flavors. It's very in your face. It's a nice flavor. I like it. So I can get some of this stuff out of my way for right now. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to cook it, but we need to strain it first. We want to get out any of the seeds, any of the skin that might be left from the puree. So we're just going to take a fine mesh strainer. just a nice, easy mesh strainer you can get. And this one is relatively large for what we need, but it'll work. We're going to run that through our sieve and strain it. And again, we do this for texture reasons. It's to get the skin off. It's to get the seeds or anything like that that might still be in there that didn't get pureed. And just to get that kind of a little bit of a smoother texture when we cook it. Now, chocolate has a lot of different players out there in the industry. I mean, you can use chocolate for sweets. You can use chocolate in desserts and cakes and pies and all kinds of things. But for traditional cuisine in Mesoamerica and Mexico, South America, because it's indicative there, it came from that region, it's been in that region for thousands of years, you see it used more often in, you know, offsetting spices and peppers, and used with meats, and used with chicken, and used with fish. And so it's just something that, you know, to expand your horizons a little bit, get out there and try to use chocolate in different ways. So you can see, I still had quite a bit of skin and seeds left in there, so you definitely want to strain that through so that we get that nice sauce consistency, but not all of the seed in the skin. I've got that cleaned off my sieve here. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to put this in a saute pan and start to thicken it up by cooking it down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up my saucepan, which I've got over here, just a regular saucepan. Get that nice and warm again. That heat on high. Starting on high, we want to start with this really hot because what we want to do is put a little bit of oil in here and then add that pureed chili to it to really kick up that heat and to kind of caramelize that a little as it cooks down. So I've got my pureed peppers and spices and seasonings here. Get that pan nice and hot. A little bit of oil, about a half a tablespoon, just enough to kind of coat the bottom of that pan. You want to get it just hot enough you can start to feel the heat kind of come off of it. So if you want to check and see if your pan's hot enough, just take a little bit of that mixture and kind of set it in there. If it doesn't sizzle, it doesn't kick, it's not quite hot enough yet. See, now it's starting to bubble just a little bit. We're going to take that mixture, add it to our hot oil. So now what we want to do is start to thicken this up. We want to start to cook out some of that moisture, concentrate those flavors a little more. And so we'll start letting this simmer just slightly. And while this is simmering, then we're going to start making our tomato sauce. We're going to puree our tomatoes, our onion, and our garlic together. That way we can add that tomato sauce to the rest of our peppers here. So I'm going to move that to my front burner. With our same container that we pureed our peppers, we're just going to use that to puree our tomatoes. All these ingredients are going to go in together. They're the same flavor, so there's no reason to keep going through and cleaning and reusing. You can use the same container. And again, because we took our time and we've really browned and sauteed or roasted our vegetables to get this nice color and this nice flavor out of it, we can remove the skin very easily on these tomatoes, which is very convenient. That'll get that char off of it, and also it's going to get that skin out of the way, which kind of sometimes leaves a little bitterness in flavor in our sausage. So peel that all off of there. Set our tomato right in our puree blender top. Get all that skin off of that tomato. Nice. Leave a little bit of that char on those tomatoes, just kind of brush a little off of there, off those onions. Keep that in there for flavor. You can see on the garlic, same thing, we've got that nice char, that nice color. We want to remove that. Don't forget about your stuff on the stove. We don't want to burn anything. Bring that heat down just a little bit. Take that papery skin and just kind of remove it off of that garlic. Throw that in our blender top. There's enough moisture in the tomatoes when you start to puree those tomatoes, it will have enough liquid to catch and start to blend up to a nice smooth consistency. So we don't have to worry about adding any liquid to our blender top for this one. Put that in there. Get this out of our way. Low, got that nice color on our sauce. It's getting a nice thickness out of it from reducing down some of that liquid. Take our blender and puree again. Start on low again. In our area as we go, we don't want to make a mess. Take our tomato sauce, and again, we want to thicken this up a little bit, so we're going to reduce this in a saute pan. Just slightly again. Again, we just want a little bit of oil in there to kind of heat that up. I think this is about where we want it, nice and thick consistency, so I'm going to set it off to the side for a second. Get that saute pan nice and hot here. Nice and hot. Good. Add our tomato puree right in there. We got all that nice flavor from the tomatoes and the onion and the garlic there. That nice and heated up. Again, we want to just cook it slightly again just to start to thicken that up. Cook out some of that moisture, so we got a nice thick sauce. Well, that's coming up to a simmer again. We're going to just let that cook down and cut up our chocolate. So again, with the chocolate, highly recommend, since we're making a Mexican mole sauce, it's a good idea, well, let's use Mexican chocolate. Mexican chocolate and get it in the grocery stores. Again, they utilize stone ground chocolate. What I've got is those 2 discs of chocolate. And we're just going to just roughly chop them up. The reason to chop them up is so that they'll melt a little bit quicker when we add them to our sauce. So we're just going to rough chop that up. And then what looks like our sauce, about the thickness that we want. So we're going to combine the 2 together, take our nice tomato puree mixture, add it to our pepper mixture. Got nice flavors to marry together there, kind of melt together. We're going to add our chicken stock to it. And chicken stock is going to add a lot of richness and a lot of flavor again. So we're going to add that right into our puree of our chili peppers and our tomato. And we're just going to start to bring that back up to a simmer. And then to it, we're going to add the breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs are going to help thicken this sauce up. Our sesame seeds are going to have a nice flavor. And then our chocolate. And that's going to add a little bit of sweetness. It's going to mellow out the heat from the peppers, and it's also going to give it a nice rich color and flavor to it. So we'll add that in there. So we're just going to continue to simmer this. Basically what we're going to be looking for at this point is for it to get to the consistency we want for a sauce. So we're going to get it to a nice thick consistency by simmering it probably a good 15 minutes or so. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go out to the field. We're going to go to Chocolatier Blue, and we're going to talk about some chocolate and some candy. So come on back when you're done, but enjoy this next segment.
Mercedes Price.
And I'm Caitlin Ellsworth, and we are outside of Lincoln's very own Chocolatier Blue.
Where Chocolatier Crisp Blue fuses together the most unique ingredients to create the finest chocolates around.
So let's go check it out.
Here we go. How do you do all the coloring and kind of get inspired? Does that?
My sister-in-law does that, and she actually is an artist, but she airbrushes with a cocoa butter based food coloring. She airbrushes the tray molds before the chocolate ever is poured in, so that when they're all done and they come out of the tray molds, all that color is already on them. The best seller is probably just the milk chocolate caramel, regular, and then the hazelnut, which we're out of. Anything with peanut butter sells really well. People also gravitate towards the ones that are dark chocolate throughout, so it seems like we sell a lot of those too.
Set, go.
Oh man, that's where you go wrong, dude.
One. There through one. There through two. Paul Thurston is through two.
I'll see you.
Three. Oh, you better hurry, Paul. Doobie. Oh.
God dang it.
Yes, go, go. You have 30 seconds. You have 4 to go. Literally. Good. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And open your mouth. Paul didn't finish one, so. Thurston. Oh, wait. Winner. Winner. It is over. You are being eliminated. Goodbye.
Welcome back. You know, Chocolatier Blue, it's a great location, nice place here in Lincoln. You got to definitely check that out, get some good chocolates. A lot of fun, but what we want to do is kind of finish this out. I figure what we can do with this mole sauce is a lot of different things. You can take it on chicken, you can put it on fish dishes. So we're just going to do a very basic mole Colorado, which is basically the chicken enchilada with mole sauce. And so take your favorite grilled chicken or maybe your favorite roasted chicken. I got here just some nice seasoned roasted chicken. We're gonna use this just to have that nice meat to get into our enchilada. I've got some just nice corn tortillas. And then we have our mole sauce. Very simple, very easy, but very classic mole enchiladas. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do maybe 3. So I've got my nice clean hands I'm gonna use to plate these up. Set this out of the way. Take our chicken, just put a little bit here inside of our corn tortilla shells. Put that out of the way. Take a little bit of our mole, and just to kind of get that flavor inside our enchilada, just right on top of the chicken there. And then just a classic enchilada, what you're gonna do is just roll those up into a nice little enchilada. Three is pretty good size for a serving. You could always do more if you're really hungry. You could always do less if you don't want that much. Those in there nice and tight together there. We're gonna take our enchilada sauce and just put that over the top. A nice mole. Rich, dark, lots of flavor. Get some nice, just yellow onion, kind of get some nice slices. Just a light julienne. Lay those over the top. You get some fresh cilantro. If you like a little bit of sour cream, just to give it a little bit of richness, a little bit more color on the top, you could always do that. And you've got your mole enchiladas made of chicken. Fresh mole sauce, rich chocolate flavor that you're gonna get from that Mexican chocolate. And with your favorite sides, it'll be a good dish ready to go. Well, there we've got our dish. It's a chocolate mole chicken enchiladas. Really hope you enjoyed it. You really want to get out there and try anything you can with chocolate. You know, it's not just the sweet, it's not just the milk chocolate. Get out there, try those dark chocolates, try those savory places, and you can get that nice, rich chocolate flavor. So join us again next week for Culture Bites, and we'll do this again. Thanks.